Welcome to our newest episode about the gods of Egypt civilization. Subscribe our channel and enjoy. The Egyptian pantheon is one of the most diverse and complex mythologies in human history, with a vast array of gods and goddesses who embody different aspects of nature, human behavior, and the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that their gods and goddesses were not only powerful supernatural beings, but also active participants in the daily lives of mortals. They built magnificent temples, created elaborate rituals, and wrote countless myths and stories to honor and worship their deities. Each god and goddess had their own unique characteristics, symbols, and associations, reflecting the diversity and complexity of human experience. Some gods were associated with the sun and the sky, like Ra and Horus. Others were associated with fertility and the Nile, like Osiris and Isis. And still others were associated with death and the afterlife, like Anubis and Ma'at. Throughout this video, we will explore some of the most prominent gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt, and delve into the myths and stories that define their place in Egyptian culture and religion. Join us as we journey through the mystical world of the gods of ancient Egypt. Ra was one of the most important gods in ancient Egyptian mythology. He was considered the god of the sun and was believed to have created the world. Ra was often depicted as a falcon-headed god wearing a sun disk on his head, which represented his association with the sun. He was also sometimes depicted as a man with a ram's head. Ra was worshipped as the chief god during the Old Kingdom, and his influence continued throughout the entire ancient Egyptian period. According to mythology, Ra sailed his boat across the sky every day, bringing light and warmth to the world. Osiris was considered the god of the afterlife, resurrection, and fertility. He was believed to have been the ruler of the underworld, where the souls of the dead went to be judged. Osiris was often depicted as a mummified pharaoh with green skin, representing his association with vegetation and rebirth. He was married to Isis, who was also his sister, and together they had a son named Horus. According to mythology, Osiris was killed by his jealous brother Seth, but was resurrected by Isis and became the god of the afterlife. He was a popular god in Egyptian religion, and his worship continued throughout the ancient Egyptian period. Isis was considered the goddess of motherhood, magic, and fertility. She was often depicted as a woman with cow horns and a sun disk on her head, or as a woman with wings spread protectively over her children. Isis was married to her brother Osiris, and together they had a son named Horus. After Osiris was killed, Isis used her magic to resurrect him, and they continued to rule over the afterlife together. Isis was a popular goddess in Egyptian religion, and her worship continued throughout the ancient Egyptian period. She was also associated with the Nile River, and was believed to have the power to control its floods. Horus was considered the god of the sky and protector of the pharaohs. He was often depicted as a falcon or a falcon-headed man, representing his association with the sky and hunting. Horus was believed to be the son of Osiris and Isis, and his eye was believed to be a symbol of protection and power. According to mythology, Horus battled his uncle Seth for control of the throne of Egypt, and was eventually victorious. He was also associated with the sun, and was believed to be one of the gods who helped to guide the sun across the sky each day. Horus was a popular god in Egyptian religion, and his worship continued throughout the ancient Egyptian period. He was also often depicted as a symbol of the unity between Upper and Lower Egypt. Anubis was considered the god of funerary rites and mummification. He was often depicted as a man with the head of a jackal, or as a full jackal. Anubis was believed to be responsible for guiding the souls of the dead to the afterlife, and for weighing the heart of the deceased against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice. If the heart was found to be heavier than the feather, the soul would be devoured by Amun, the goddess of the underworld. Anubis was also associated with the process of mummification, and was believed to oversee the preservation of the body for the afterlife. Anubis was a popular god in Egyptian religion, and his worship continued throughout the ancient Egyptian period. He was also sometimes associated with the god Osiris, as both were considered gods of the afterlife. Thoth was considered the god of wisdom, writing, and magic. He was often depicted as a man with the head of an ibis, or sometimes as a baboon. Thoth was believed to be responsible for maintaining the balance of the universe, and was often depicted as a scribe who recorded the deeds of the gods and the pharaohs. He was also associated with the moon and was believed to have the power to control time. Thoth was considered the inventor of writing and was believed to have given the Egyptians the gift of hieroglyphics. He was also associated with magic and was believed to have the power to heal the sick and revive the dead. Thoth was a popular god in Egyptian religion, and his worship continued throughout the ancient Egyptian period. He was also often associated with the goddess Ma'at, as both were considered gods of balance and justice. Seth was considered the god of chaos, storms, and violence. He was often depicted as a man with the head of an animal that was part donkey and part dog, or as a full animal. Seth was believed to be responsible for creating chaos and disorder, and was often associated with violent storms, earthquakes, and other natural disasters. He was also associated with war and hunting, and was believed to have the power to defeat enemies. According to mythology, Seth killed his brother Osiris out of jealousy, and was eventually defeated by Osiris's son Horus. Despite his negative reputation, Seth was still worshipped by some Egyptians, particularly those who worked as soldiers or hunters. Hathor was considered the goddess of love, beauty, and music. She was often depicted as a woman with cow ears or cow horns and a sun disk on her head, or as a full cow. Hathor was believed to have the power to bring joy and happiness to people's lives, and was often associated with love and fertility. She was also a goddess of music, and was believed to have invented the sistrum, a musical instrument that was often used in religious ceremonies. Hathor was a popular goddess in Egyptian religion, and her worship continued throughout the ancient Egyptian period. She was also associated with the Nile River, and was believed to have the power to control its floods. Bastet was considered the goddess of cats, fertility, and childbirth. She was often depicted as a woman with the head of a cat, or sometimes as a full cat. Bastet was believed to have the power to protect women during childbirth, and was often associated with fertility and motherhood. She was also a goddess of joy and pleasure, and was believed to have the power to bring happiness to people's lives. Bastet was particularly revered in the city of Bubastis, where a festival was held each year in her honor. During the festival, Egyptians would travel to Bubastis to celebrate and offer sacrifices to the goddess. Cats were also considered sacred animals in ancient Egypt, and were believed to be a symbol of Bastet. As a result, cats were often kept as pets and were sometimes mummified after they died. Ptah was considered the god of craftsmen and creation. He was often depicted as a man with a shaven head and a long beard, and was sometimes shown wearing a skull cap. Ptah was believed to have created the world and all living creatures, and was often associated with the power of creation. He was also a god of craftsmen, and was believed to have the power to inspire creativity and skill in those who worked with their hands. Ptah was particularly revered in the city of Memphis, where a temple was built in his honor. The temple was considered one of the most important religious sites in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location of the creation of the world. Ptah was also associated with the goddess Sekhmet, and was believed to have the power to calm her fierce temper. Nephthys was considered the goddess of mourning and protection. She was often depicted as a woman with the hieroglyphs of her name on her head, which symbolized a basket or a house. Nephthys was believed to have the power to protect the dead and the mourners, and was often associated with funeral rites and the afterlife. She was also associated with the goddess Isis, and was believed to have helped Isis during her quest to resurrect her husband Osiris. Nephthys was sometimes depicted as a sister of Isis, and was often shown standing with her during religious ceremonies. Nephthys was also associated with the god Anubis, and was believed to have the power to assist him in his duties as a god of funerary rites and mummification. Amun was considered the god of the air and king of the gods. He was often depicted as a man with a tall feathered crown, or sometimes as a ram or a ram-headed man. Amun was believed to have the power to create and control the air, and was often associated with the wind, the sky, and the breath of life. He was also the chief god of Thebes, where he was worshipped as a creator god and a protector of the city. Amun was often combined with the sun god Ra, and was worshipped as Amun Ra. As Amun Ra, he was believed to be the creator of the universe, and was often depicted as a man with a sun disk on his head. Amun was also associated with the god Ptah, and was believed to have the power to inspire creativity and skill in craftsmen. Anuket was considered the goddess of the Nile River and fertility. She was often depicted as a woman wearing a crown of ostrich feathers, and sometimes holding a scepter or a papyrus wand. Anuket was believed to have the power to control the flooding of the Nile River, which was essential for the growth of crops and the prosperity of the people of Egypt. She was also associated with fertility and childbirth, and was believed to have the power to bring abundance and fertility to the land. Anuket was particularly revered in the city of Elephantine, where a temple was built in her honor. The temple was considered an important religious site in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location where Anuket blessed the Nile River and ensured its abundance. Anuket was also associated with the god Khnum, and was believed to have been his consort. Khnum was the god of creation, and was believed to have created the world on his potter's wheel. Sobek was considered the god of crocodiles, fertility, and the Nile. He was often depicted as a man with the head of a crocodile, or sometimes as a full crocodile. Sobek was believed to have the power to control the ferocity of crocodiles, and was often associated with protection and military prowess. He was also associated with fertility and the Nile River, and was believed to have the power to bring abundance and fertility to the land. Sobek was particularly revered in the city of Crocodilopolis, where a temple was built in his honor. The temple was considered an important religious site in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location where Sobek blessed the Nile River and ensured its abundance. Sobek was also associated with the god Horus, and was believed to have been one of his protectors. Horus was the god of the sky and protector of the pharaohs, and was often depicted as a falcon or a man with the head of a falcon. Tefnut was considered the goddess of moisture, rain, and dew. She was often depicted as a woman with the head of a lioness or a lioness herself. Tefnut was believed to have the power to control the elements of moisture and rain, and was often associated with the rejuvenation and renewal of the land. She was also associated with creation, and was believed to have played a key role in the formation of the world. Tefnut was particularly revered in the city of Heliopolis, where a temple was built in her honor. The temple was considered an important religious site in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location where Tefnut blessed the land with her life-giving moisture. Tefnut was also associated with the god Atum, and was believed to have been his daughter. Atum was the god of creation, and was believed to have created the world from the primordial waters of chaos. Shu was considered the god of the air and sunlight. He was often depicted as a man with a feathered headdress, holding up the sky with his hands. Shu was believed to have the power to control the elements of air and sunlight, and was often associated with clarity, light, and life. He was also associated with creation, and was believed to have played a key role in separating the earth from the sky. Shu was particularly revered in the city of Heliopolis, where a temple was built in his honor. The temple was considered an important religious site in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location where Shu blessed the land with his life-giving sunlight. Shu was also associated with the goddess Tefnut, and was believed to have been her consort. Tefnut was the goddess of moisture, rain, and dew, and was often depicted as a lioness or a woman with the head of a lioness. Nut was considered the goddess of the sky and stars. She was often depicted as a woman arched over the earth, with stars adorning her body. Nut was believed to have the power to control the elements of the sky and stars, and was often associated with rebirth, renewal, and resurrection. She was also associated with creation, and was believed to have played a key role in the birth of the sun god Ra. Nut was particularly revered in the city of Heliopolis, where a temple was built in her honor. The temple was considered an important religious site in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location where Nut blessed the land with her life-giving presence. Nut was also associated with the god Geb, and was believed to have been his consort. Geb was the god of the earth, and was often depicted as a man lying on his back with the earth as his body. Ebi was considered the god of the earth and agriculture. He was often depicted as a man lying on his back with the earth as his body. Geb was believed to have the power to control the elements of the earth, and was often associated with fertility, growth, and prosperity. He was also associated with creation, and was believed to have played a key role in the birth of the sun god Ra. Geb was particularly revered in the city of Heliopolis, where a temple was built in his honor. The temple was considered an important religious site in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location where Geb blessed the land with his life-giving presence. Geb was also associated with the goddess Nut, and was believed to have been her consort. Nut was the goddess of the sky and stars, and was often depicted as a woman arched over the earth, with stars adorning her body. Sekhmet was considered the goddess of war, fire, and healing. She was often depicted as a woman with the head of a lioness, wearing a solar disk and Uraeus on her head. Sekhmet was believed to have the power to control the elements of fire and war, and was often associated with destruction, but also with healing and protection. She was also associated with the sun, and was believed to have been a daughter of the sun god Ra. Sekhmet was particularly revered in the city of Memphis, where a temple was built in her honor. The temple was considered an important religious site in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location where Sekhmet blessed the land with her life-giving power. Sekhmet was also associated with the goddess Hathor, and was believed to have been an aspect of Hathor's fierce and destructive side. Hathor was the goddess of love, beauty, and music, and was often depicted as a cow or a woman with the head of a cow. Wajet was considered the goddess of protection and the cobra. She was often depicted as a cobra, or as a woman with the head of a cobra. Wajet was believed to have the power to control the cobra, which was a symbol of protection and was often associated with the pharaohs. She was also associated with the sun, and was believed to have been a protector of the sun god Ra. Wajet was particularly revered in the city of Buto, where a temple was built in her honor. The temple was considered an important religious site in ancient Egypt, and was believed to be the location where Wajet blessed the land with her life-giving power. Wajet was also associated with the goddess Nekhbet, who was the goddess of vultures and was often depicted as a woman with the head of a vulture. Nekhmet and Wajet were sometimes depicted together as the protectors of Upper and Lower Egypt, respectively. The gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt were more than just religious figures, they were an integral part of daily life and influenced many aspects of Egyptian society, from art and architecture to law and politics. Their stories and symbols continue to captivate and inspire people around the world today, and remind us of the enduring power and significance of ancient mythologies. Thank you for watching, subscribe our channel and see you in next episodes.